Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel today. Good to see you again. If you've not already done so, please hit subscribe so you never miss a video on the channel. If you enjoy the content, why not also hit the notifications bell as well. Check out the members section by clicking the join button and you can get access to exclusive members only content too. With that all out of the way, what are we going to talk about today? I want to give you some tips on DLP and mistakes, common mistakes to avoid, things not to do in Microsoft Purview DLP. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it and take a look. Here it comes. Don't overcomplicate your DLP policies. Creating overly complex DLP policies with too many rules and exceptions can make them difficult to manage and prone to errors. So it's important to keep policies as simple and clear as possible. I've got a lot of policies set up here in my tenant, and if we take a look in one of them, let's pick this one and edit it, we can have a look at the rules that are in place. So in this DLP policy, let's take a look. I don't have admin units assigned. I do have some locations applied. That's absolutely fine. Here is where I think you can go the most wrong. If you have too many rules here, then that's where things can get a little bit overly complex. If you go into these rules and you have too much complexity in here, too many exceptions, then that is somewhere where you're going to make more work for yourself as an administrator. So the core message of this is keep it simple. Always try and keep it as simple as you possibly can with your DLP policies. That applies to sensitivity labels as well, and quite a lot of other things within Microsoft 365. Okay, next one. Don't ignore user education. This is so important. Failing to educate users about DLP policies and their importance and the experience of using them can lead to non-compliance and accidental data breaches. Regular training and clear communication are essential. Don't let users get into situations like the email that we see on the screen at the moment, where they're sharing sensitive information that could contain things like national insurance numbers, banking details, and all sorts of other sensitive info that you don't want to fall into the wrong hands. So talk to your users, communicate about DLP, train them on policy tips. Make sure that if they're in a situation like this, that policy tips are set up that will trigger when they put in sensitive information into emails, into documents, and that sort of thing. So constantly review, constantly talk to your users and ensure that they are going to make good decisions and are well armed for working with sensitive information that could fall into the wrong hands. The next mistake to avoid is not regularly reviewing your policies. DLP policies need to be regularly reviewed and updated to ensure that they remain effective and relevant. Ignoring this can result in outdated policies that fail to prevent the loss of sensitive data and protect it effectively. So look at the policies. Don't just set them up and forget about them. Fine-tune them, go back into them, make sure that as new standards come out, things like NIS2 in recent times, DORA that is coming up, make sure that you are working to include these principles and frameworks in your DLP policies. Look at fine-tuning the groups of users that are included in the policies to be targeted or excluded. These are things that constantly need to be looked at in order to ensure that your policies are fit for purpose. So I've seen this so many times. Organizations will think, right, we've done this now, we can move on and forget about it. Absolutely not. You need a regular check-in with the people responsible for the DLP policies to make sure that they are working correctly. Equally, from a user point of view, don't think that it's not on you as well. If you are working with sensitive data and you're well clued up on this and you're putting content into files and emails and you think, actually, that should have been picked up, do alert your compliance teams, the people who are looking after DLP in your organization, and alert them to the fact that you may not be as diligently protected as you should be. Another common error that you don't want to fall victim to is inadequate testing. Deploying your DLP policies without thorough testing can lead to unintended consequences, such as blocking legitimate business activities. And that can be a real pain if that affects somebody senior in your organization and you know that consequences are going to arise from that. So watch out for that. You don't want to fail to detect sensitive data leaks. Always test policies in controlled environments before full deployment. And that's why we have in our policies things like in simulation mode, with notifications, without notifications. If we look into one of these DLP policies here that has these principles employed, then we can see the various stages of protection that we can go through. Make sure that during your testing phase that you are going through the appropriate steps that are going to be right for you. Always start by running the policy in simulation mode, which shows you items that match the policy's conditions to help you evaluate its impact. Your data is not going to be affected. The policy stays off while in the simulation mode. And you can learn all about simulation mode from this link here. During simulation mode, you can show policy tips to the users while simulations are in progress. So they're going to get those policy tips popping up in their applications in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook to show them the impact of including sensitive information in their content and what they can and can't do about it. Equally, you can then turn the policy on if it's not edited within 15 days of simulation. Do be careful with this one. Make sure that your testing is completed and you're happy with it before you do that. But do complete effective testing by taking advantage of simulation mode. Don't just go straight into turning the policy on immediately. Only do that when you are absolutely satisfied that your diligent testing has been completed. Finally, don't neglect things like endpoint protection and Microsoft Teams chat and channel messages. So focusing solely on email and cloud services, things like Exchange email, SharePoint sites, OneDrive accounts, while neglecting other things that you need to protect can leave significant gaps in your data protection strategy. Ensure that Endpoint DLP is also implemented to cover all potential data loss vectors. You can do that within your policies by ticking on devices and edit the users and groups that you want to be included for that device protection. You can also toggle on Teams chat and channel messages. You can turn on instances as well and on-premises repositories. So do think beyond the traditional cloud services within Microsoft 365 of what you need to protect in your business. Now, be mindful of some of the requirements for these additional DLP protection services. You are going to need E5 licenses in some way, shape, or form, certainly for these top three, Teams, chat, and channel messages, devices, and I believe instances as well. I'm not 100% sure from memory about on-premises repositories, but I suspect that is also the case. But I'll try and remember to check that out and put some details of licensing requirements for DLP in the description of this video. So there we go. Those are my things to avoid in DLP, mistakes that will trip you up. Let's wind up the video here and have a little debrief. So there you have it. I think these are all very, very simple things that you can implement, but very, very important to remember. And so many organizations that I have worked with over the years have forgotten to do these things or just not considered them at all. They think if they're implementing DLP, then they put it in place, forget about it. It's good to go for ever and ever. Not the case. Always be thinking about it. Always fine tune, refine, educate your users, get adoption and change teams involved in the process. You will set yourself up for success rather than failure by doing all of these things. Let me know what your experience has been with DLP in the comments. Have you deployed it? Are you doing these things, fine tuning and refining and testing? I would love to hear all about your experience. Right, let's wind up the video there. Do hit like, give me a great big thumbs up if you enjoyed this, if it's helped you, if it's been thought-provoking, made you think. And remember to hit that subscribe button as well and the notifications bell so you never miss a video from me when I publish. Thanks for your support. Thanks to all my wonderful subscribers and members. Love to hear from you. Take care, travel well, stay safe. I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.